I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have Jeanette with us. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you.
So tell us, what was your life like prior to starting a meat-based diet? Were you having any health issues or any kind of problems that kind of made you want to transition into carnivore?
Yeah, so I kind of come from a long history of yo-yo dieting, and I've been in several different fields of the fitness industry. So I've gone through weight losses of up to 60 pounds to weight gains of up to 70 pounds over the last 20 years. So I have done almost every single form of diet that's been out there. And probably the most egregious was a bodybuilding diet, which a lot of people would also consider a starvation diet, because you're not only eliminating carbohydrates, but you're also eliminating fats as well. And so while I had success in a transformation, it was highly unsustainable. So my last competition was in 2013, when I had stepped on stage at 11% body fat, and I'm 5'6.5". So post competition, I had started developing a lot of problems with my adrenals, severe anxiety, constant fatigue, just a whole heap of issues that I felt like I couldn't get ahead of. And being in the industry, no one talks to you about what's going on with the endocrine system, correct? Because it's all about how many hours you're in the gym, calories in, calories out, and what you look like on stage. So this was my premise, and this is what I had based my health on. So after my last competition, I decided to, like they say, put the weights away and pick up the fork. I put down the weights and picked up the fork, so to speak. So, during that period of, training and dieting hard, you really battle with, it's so mental. A lot of it is physical, but it is way more mental than anything else, because you're fighting against what feels natural, and that is to eat sugar and to eat anything that is going to make you feel good, right? So you go through this long-standing depravity, right? So you're deprived of so many different foods, and that's kind of what you live for, right? So you train hard, you're in that mindset, you train hard, and then you get to cheat. Then you get to have your celebration meal. So this dichotomy of building this very unhealthy relationship with food, for me, was very much a mental struggle. And then unfortunately, when I got into my 40s, my physical body started catching up with the mental aspects of a healthy diet. And so in 2015, I had dabbled into keto because I had started to gain a significant amount of weight, and I couldn't quite reverse that. So it was so mentally stressful for me to even consider going back on a starvation diet. And I had tried probably 3 or 4 times, and I would give up very, very quickly. So then I had started keto in 2015, and it was fun, and I enjoyed the foods, and I was really surprised that it didn't deter me mentally, because it went against the grain of what I was taught on how to lose weight. But it was unsustainable. So I would hit a certain weight loss, and then I would give up mentally because I wasn't seeing the results that I had wanted. So then fast forward a couple more years in 2017, I had heard in the keto community about this intermittent fasting thing. And so I started incorporating that. And in a short amount of time, I'd actually lost 50 pounds in 5 months. And I was almost, at my bodybuilding stages, like almost that lean. Like I was fitting back into my old workout gear from back when I used to train for competition, and it felt amazing. But I was fasting a lot. And while fasting at that time was great for me, I had hit a new set point where fasting then became very stressful. And so because I didn't quite put two and two together, that cortisol, adrenals, all of that was involved in my stress level, it became very hard to fast after that before I would feel the anxiety and the stress from it. So over time, I had dabbled back into eating more and more, mostly keto foods, but I incorporated a lot of artificial sweeteners and processed foods and things that I just wanted to eat because it made me feel good. Emotionally, it made me feel good. It tasted good. It was a treat. It was like, oh, this is so easy. It's keto approved. Not at all really paying attention to some of the other effects that it was really having on my body altogether. So I had put on about 30 pounds from the 50 pounds that I had previously lost. So I had hit a point when I turned 40 that I was having some other health problems, and it really threw me because I was not expecting my doctor to tell me either I needed physical therapy or I was at risk for surgery. So I found out that I was having a lot of symptoms. I was having a lot of pain, a lot of cramping, just kind of a lot of pains around the female region. And apparently I had a prolapsed pelvic wall. And so I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to go to see a physical therapist. Like, that's just way too personal, way too private. So of course, what do? You go on, look on YouTube, and, I'm looking at all these different exercises and, trying to get a handle of this on my own. And then it just dawned on me, back in 2018, when we were on a hunting trip and we went into an area of Montana where it's very, very, very low population. So they didn't even have a stoplight. And there was a big salmonella outbreak that was going on. So they had no produce in their little supermarket there. So that whole trip that I was there, I didn't have any access to vegetables. And I would normally incorporate, I could eat a head of cabbage every 3 days or so, because I would make these massive taco salads. And so I was eating a lot of cabbage, a lot of onions, a lot of jalapenos, a lot of just a lot of cruciferous in general, and then a lot of beta carotene as well. But around my menstrual, it was so debilitating and so painful for me that I would be out of commission, basically. And I would have to take up to 4,000 milligrams of ibuprofen a day. I would be in bed for about 2 days. It was excruciating. And so during that time that we were there and I didn't have access to vegetables, my cycle came and I was thinking, just my luck. I'm here on vacation. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't that bad. I didn't have a lot of pain. And so being in the keto community, I had heard of Carnivore. I kind of I saw ShawnBaker's interview on the Joe Rogan channel and London Real. And I was like, oh, this is very interesting. I wonder if there's really, something to this. And then I heard or seen another podcast on some guy talking about how kale causes vulvodynia. And, that's basically a lot of inflammation for women in their reproductive system. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this, but something's going on with me. Like, now I'm kind of correlating what happens when I eat cruciferous and when I don't. So in that 2018, when I started Carnivore, it was more like a dirty carnivore. It was, a lot of the cheeses and a lot of our venison brats and sausages and whatnot. And I think over time, I had just really lost interest in trying that, and it wasn't so much that I wanted to go back to vegetables because I never really did. I think it was just more so I wasn't really listening to my body. I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. It was just in the back of my head, my programming when it comes to food always resorts to weight loss. What do I lose or gain when it comes to the foods that I'm eating? And And for me mentally, it's all about weight loss. It always has been. And then of course some energy as well. So when I turned 40 and got this news from my doctor, it just hit me. There are women out there that have been on carnivore for years and have healed from so many different issues. And Kelly Hogan was one that really stood out to me. And then I went back to, well, ShawnBaker keeps things very, very simple. Like, I don't want to go into this being convoluted with all this information and getting stuck into the dogma of, how these people choose to, because if you end up in one group, they're saying, oh, you're not carnivore if you do this, or if you go in another group and they're saying you're not keto if you do that. And I didn't want to get caught up in any of that. It really became down to me healing myself and really paying attention to my body signals. So it really became more about this mind-body connection that I never really had through all my years of being in the fitness industry. And so ultimately I knew that inflammation was a big problem. And when I decided to completely go carnivore, I basically went to two resources, and that was ShawnBaker and Kelly Hogan.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And you are so ahead of the game, being able to actually connect the dots without, stumbling across a video or something. I mean, I know you saw ShawnBaker and all, but you started kind of listening to your body and paying attention. And so that put you so far ahead of the game. Some of us, and I was one of them, I never made that connection. It was just all about, oh, I'll just try this one last thing. Like you said, weight loss reasons. So, that's awesome that you were able to do that. Okay. So when you first started carnivore, how did you implement that? Like, what were you eating? And did you have any problems when you transitioned into eating more meat?
Yeah. So thankfully where I live, we have access to high quality. My friends raise Wagyu on their farm, and this is 100%, pasture raised. These are the happiest cows in the world. So I always get my beef from them, and I'm a nose to tail kind of person. So I utilize everything. We're also hunters and conservationists as well. So it's very important to me that the relationship with the animal is kind of integrated into the whole healing process, because it is a life, and, we respect that animal. And so I have so much access to high quality meat. And coming into it this time, I was like, I'm just going to go straight balls to the wall. And I started just with beef patties, and that's pretty much what it was, is some beef patties, and I would put some rendered tallow on it. So I'd take the suet, I render that down into my own tallow. I'll put it on like icing, like, Kelly does her little meat cookies and her bacon fat icing. And, and to me, it really wasn't that much of a struggle integrating it. I thought it was going to be because I am addicted to sweeteners. And I've probably, if I look at my Amazon account in the last like 4 years, I've probably spent maybe $1,000 in sweeteners. I mean, ridiculous. Seriously, to like trick my brain, right? So I thought that was going to be my biggest stumbling block. And I think ultimately it just came down to, I'm just going to do this one day at a time. Like, for today, I'm not going to have any sweeteners. And for today, I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible, because I really wanted to see the benefits. Hearing a doctor tell me that I was at risk for surgery, being 40 years old, kind of believing her, but kind of saying, no, you're wrong. I felt like I really owed it to myself to put 110% into the whole elimination process. And I'm really thankful that I did. It started with mostly just beef. We also fish here because I live on the Sound. And so we will catch some saltwater and freshwater salmon. and halibut if we're lucky. Roe, I've incorporated roe as well, which is, gives me a lot of energy. I have access to the organs, so I've got all the organs. And I incorporate as much of that as I can. Some days I'm really lazy and I'm just, I'm going to prepare burgers for the next couple of days and just kind of grab and go. So the first, I'd say day 1, 2, 3 felt very easy. Day 4 through probably 14 for like 10 days, I felt very fatigued, very, very fatigued, almost like I could easily just close my eyes and fall asleep. Like I was thinking, oh no, do I have narcolepsy now? Because I could literally, my brain is trying to warn me, you're about to fall asleep. You need to get comfortable or go somewhere safe. So that was a struggle. And I do drink coffee. I have 1 black cup in the morning over ice, and that's been my thing. I enjoy it. I love it. I'll probably never stop drinking it. I tried going caffeine free for a couple of days, but I started having some histamine reactions to it. I was blowing my nose a lot while I was drinking it, and I'd have, I don't know, just kind of itchy. So I stopped drinking the caffeine free and went back to what I was fine with. And I don't see any benefit to quitting at this time, maybe later, but right now it's not really something I feel like I have to do. So it's just kind of my morning thing, black coffee and break out of meditation and, just go about the day. And now what I'm actually doing is I tried alternate day fasting again, except on my days where I'm not actually eating, I'm drinking bone broth with the fat. So I'm keeping my stress levels at bay by doing that. But if I find at the end of the day my body's saying eat something, I'll definitely eat something. So it has been, in my opinion, probably a way easier transition for me than I had anticipated in the very beginning. So lots of benefits from completely eliminating everything so far.
That's great. And,
Yeah.
some people, they just need to do that. And, it kind of depends on what kind of person you are. Are you the, jump right in the cold water? You got to put your toe in, then your foot in, So it's great that you can do that. Okay. So after, doing the meat-based diet for a while, what did you notice? Did you have any improvements? What happened?
Significant improvements. So I'm approaching 90 days now, just straight meat, fat, salt, water, and, black coffee. And I think there was a couple times where I would have, my boyfriend would smoke up a venison broth that has some high temp cheese in it and some spices, and I'll have like a couple of bites, but within a couple hours, I kind of feel a little bit like my stomach saying you shouldn't have done that. So I think I'm going to stay away from that just for a little while, just for now. So the first benefit that I experienced was literally within 3 weeks, my pain went away. So my lower back pain contributed to this prolapsed pelvic floor. The constant pressure that I was experiencing was gone. And that happened almost when I realized that it felt like it was overnight. And then, my cycles have been so much better. I'm now down to only about 25% of the ibuprofen compared to what I would normally have to take. I've yet to have one cycle so far since I've been on this that has kept me from doing life. So I haven't had to lay in bed all day. I haven't had to, plan anything around. So there's a lot of freedom there for me. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits that I can say has happened so far. I've also been taking CBDs for a very long time to kind of manage my eczema. And it had done a good job, but I would still end up with some small patches right here. And then I had also been developing some psoriasis. I'm not sure what it is with us, Caucasians, but we end up with like skin conditions, and it's just like these, cracking skin, and I had it on my elbows and I had it on my knees, and I would try very expensive solutions and oils, and I'm thinking, but I'm keto. It's just anti-inflammatory diet. What's going on here? Well, Carnivore completely cleared it all up, cleared up all signs of any patches I had. It completely cleared up all signs of psoriasis that I've had. What else? My skin, my skin probably has been the most youthful looking that it has been in years. It's got, a glow to it now that it never really had before. Other benefits, I think another big benefit too, that when we go into these lifestyle changes, again, like I said, it really, for the most part in the past, has always been associated around weight loss. But when you can actually listen to the signals that your body is sending you, and you can interpret those signals and take heed to those signals, and listen and kind of be more connected to those signals. I know it probably sounds a little weird, but I can listen to my body now and know exactly what it's telling me. And for an example, here's an example. Still mentally, I'm trying to kind of watch calories, right? Because I still want to lose some weight that I put back on. So, it's so common for me to think about calories and how much I'm eating versus how little I can get away with. And I was noticing that I was starting to get, more anxiety and some stress, and my body was just like, just listen, just eat. That's all you got to do is just eat. You're eating high quality food. You're not going to lose anything from it. So I started listening to myself, and I was eating about 2 pounds of meat in the morning and about 1 pound to 2 pounds of meat in the evening. And after I started doing that, prior to alternate day fasting with the bone broth, was when I noticed that I was sleeping a lot better, and I don't have to take a night supplement anymore, like an adrenal night supplement anymore. I'm completely off the CBDs now. I have a lot more energy throughout the day. I'm not getting those dips where I feel like, oh, I should really drink a cup of coffee. I'm standing a lot more at work now. I do have, I work in sales. So part of the time I'm in the showroom where I'm on my feet all day. And then the other part, I'm at the desk, dealing with all the back office stuff. So I raised my desk and I'm standing a lot more at my desk. And that just feels more natural now because I have a lot more energy. So the improved sleep, and then ultimately just listening to my body when my body's saying, you know what, you need to eat. So I'll eat. And it just, I'm disconnecting from that way of thinking that it's, it's going to cause gain, weight gain if I eat more. It really is just a matter of just trying to be as sustainable in my health as I possibly can. And I also have the mindset now that this is just the way that it is now. I mean, in a year from now, my body could be just as optimal on, 2 pounds, so I'm not trying to let my head take over the process. I'm really listening to my body to lead the process, and my mind is kind of taking a back seat to it.
That's awesome. That is really good to be able to get to that point. Now, let me ask you this one last question. Was there anything that shocked you after starting, a more carnivore diet that you weren't really expecting?
Yeah, I was really shocked that a prolapsed pelvic floor is related to inflammation in the body. They say, oh, it's from having kids, or it's from, age, or it's from, not working those muscles or whatever. And I think I don't know. I think that we've been told things for many years, and we're trained to listen to those things because, doctors have the best interest for us. And I don't know, like I'm thinking, why would I be told that I need to go see a physical therapist and put myself in a highly vulnerable situation there, or my only other option is surgery? Like, why are those the first things that I'm being told? Why isn't it diet or lifestyle changes that I'm being encouraged to change to improve my overall physical health? So yeah, it still today shocks me, and I'm just like dumbfounded, thinking, how could the two be related? But I guess it doesn't make sense. The way that our bodies respond are just symptoms. It's just the way that it can communicate with us, and it's just symptoms. And those symptoms are caused, generally by the inflammation and we put into our bodies, our environment. So that to me was definitely a shock. So I know that and there's a lot more to it behind that than, it's interesting because I was, I think that the more we eat meat, the more balanced our hormones will become. And for someone who has never been I guess maybe I just never ate enough meat, because now that I'm eating a lot more, I'm noticing like my testosterone has gone up, and that's creating some changes as well, and a lot more balance. I don't know. It's almost like it's starting to feel a bit more whole again. When, a lot of the times when we end up with so many issues that we face, it's over a gradual period of time that we just become accepting of it and used to it, like that is normal. But so much of it is actually not normal. And getting that freedom from those things that prohibit us from being able to live our best lives is you can't put a price tag on that, I feel like. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, and just be open to trying something different. And so I had an intention to try and heal inflammation in my body, but I really had no idea that it would take me to this level. And I will tell you, the more I eat beef, the more I crave beef. Like, that's all I want to eat is beef. So I don't have any sugar cravings. I don't even have the mental aptitude to go to my cabinet or my fridge anymore, based on my mood. Like, it's not even in my brain anymore to do that. And that's a huge step for me, because for the last 20 years, it has been such a mental struggle. I can stay super disciplined when I need to be, but it doesn't mean that the mental tug of war was never there. And so even with keto and intermittent fasting, I mean, those thoughts are always still there, thinking about my next meal, thinking about what I'm going to make, during my fasting period, and just kind of, relishing in those mental moments, right? And, celebratory moments where now it's almost just like I am so satiated, and my body has now been able to absorb the vitamins and minerals that it needs, that I just don't think about those things anymore. So I'm really now believing that your mind and your gut are completely connected. And there's a lot of things that drive those thought processes. So that's also a very interesting thing, because I didn't realize that, my constant need for eating for emotional reasons or out of boredom really stemmed from not being nourished.
Oh, that is so true. And I am so glad that things are getting better. And just think, you're only 90 days in.
Yep.
So who knows where it could lead you. So good luck with that. And thank you so much for joining us, Jeanette, and talking about your story. It's been a pleasure. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.